Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
Good, good, good. 174 episodes, getting close there.
Ooh.
175, that's a big one. Yeah, I guess before the end of the year, it's going to be 200 or close to it at least, right? I would think at this, yeah, because we're only a few months in.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Wow, that's exciting. That's pretty crazy, man. That's in terms of comic numbering legacy issues, that doesn't even happen these days. So that's that's a big deal, right? So like before we used to celebrate this in comics, that getting that many issues. Now it's like you get 25 issues and then you restart the series for
yeah.
no reason. I know. Or
There you go. I heard there's other comics restarting again. What did I hear? Oh, Thor's restarting.
or
The
Immortal
same
Thor.
team.
It's not even restarting right away, though. They said it's going to come back later this year or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's ending, and then they're going to restart it at some point. That's what I read. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's the comics industry these days, apparently. But, anyways, though, this is Comic Shop Talk, our weekly comic book review show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other content here. We got all kinds of videos, all kinds of playlists here. Hundreds of episodes of different types of shows here. So definitely check that stuff out. New comics this week we're going to be talking about are the new comics for the week of April 9th, 2025. The comics that me and Chris read this week. And spoiler warning, be forewarned, we are going to be getting into like what happened in the books to properly rate and review them. So, if you're worried about getting spoiled, just, you can always read your books and come back. All right, Chris.
All right. Well, I saw you had your review of the ballerina clip from the World of John Wick.
Yeah.
That movie's looking pretty good.
It is. It is. Yeah. And I guess speaking of reviews, make sure to check out some of our late night at the movies content on the channel here too. That's we do reaction videos to movie trailers, as Chris just mentioned. We just talked about Ballerina, the World of John Wick movie, which I'm looking forward to. And we do kind of like deep discussions on like older movies that we go back and rewatch, and we kind of break them down and talk about them and stuff like that. So yeah, check those out as well. It's kind of a lot of comic and movie content coming out these days, some music here and there. So definitely check out the channel. And yeah, but let's do it, Chris.
All right. Well, let's talk comics now.
Talk some comics. Exactly. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. But yeah, I'm glad you like that. I'm looking forward to that one. I like Anna Darmus. She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah. Just skills.
That's right. All right. First up on the docket here today, let me grab my stuff, is Amazing Spider-Man #1, which I witnessed somebody at the comic book store actually coming in and freaking out because this cover was sold out by the time he got there.
Oh, wow.
There was about five
He's
other.
not up to speed on things going on in the world of Amazing Spider-Man.
Apparently not. There's about 5 other covers that were there, but apparently that was just not good enough for him. But anyways, what do you think of this, Chris?
Oh, what didn't I think about it? I don't know. For a reboot here, you expect this Joe Kelly to come with something big. I don't know, just a whole hum story. Nothing against this Pepe Larraz. When he's doing his Spider-Man art, everything's great there. But his Peter Parker, the way this started, it's opened up with Peter Parker, all these interviews. He just looks like a goofball. And I know that's what they want him to do, or I don't know if that's the idea, but it just didn't. It didn't hit me in the right spot. It just makes me feel like it's almost like Marvel's just kind of walking around happy-go-lucky as the sky is falling around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I'm in for this for a while still, but it's on thin ice. With the story there, he's looking for a job, and he meets up some grade school friend, because I guess they've run out of all his high school friends because they're all super villains or superheroes now.
Right.
And I guess the big story is there's something going on in New York, and it's making everybody a little bit mad. The worst part is, I guess, the worst thing is that the best part of this comic is when he's creeping around Rhino's apartment. It was supposed to be a replica of the Seinfeld apartment I read. I didn't notice it while I was reading it, but maybe when you
Oh,
go back here, you can look into it.
yeah, I didn't catch that either. Um, I mean, it looked great, like you said. I think Pepe Larraz is really good. I really liked the art in this a lot, especially the rhino scenes. I don't know. I didn't mind it as much as you did. I wouldn't say it blew my socks off either this issue,
So,
but I do think that it was hitting on some things that ring true to the character in some aspects, like him showing up for the job interview, and of course he has to look out the window and be like, "Oh, there's Rhino. I guess I gotta let this opportunity go away as a result," right? Like just shit like that, the Parker Luck type of stuff. I kind of liked like and even like the way he was talking. Here's the thing. Joe Kelly, I know, set up and ended that whole 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. We really shouldn't be using that as a comparison to this first issue. But I will say right out the gate, I liked whatever he's doing here more than he just did in that last little event
okay,
previous to this new series.
that's
Even the
not hard to
writing,
do.
no. But even the writing of the character, I thought was like the dialogue, I thought was a lot stronger in this issue than it was even in his setup and end issues for that Death of Spider-Man. I think the whole thing was dumb, but this I actually enjoyed some of the dialogue in this. I thought there was a couple of moments where it felt very much like Peter Parker or Spider-Man. So I have hope, but it is too early to really tell like how good this run's going to be. Right out the gate, is it amazing? No, it's okay though. But I think like it's elevated by the really good art and hopefully some interesting plans that they might have for him here. But this felt like just like another everyday kind of like, just hanging out with Spider-Man issue. And I know some people like, like even like yourself, even like myself sometimes expect a bit more from a first issue, especially after such a shit in between story that they had at the end of the Zeb Wells run leading into this one, right? You think they would have had something better than just a tussle with the Rhino in the first
Yeah,
issue. But they're slowly planting the seeds, though. There's a couple of things in the mix going on here. Obviously, that's in the subsequent stories in this issue where they're trying to set up other storylines, other villains. Of course, JR is the other artist involved here.
yeah, brought the temperature right down.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say though, I do like the Norman Osborn stuff though. I'm kind of interested to see how that goes, to be honest with you. I like that storyline. How like now he's trying to do better, but like everyone, he's had such a hard time as everyone knows who he is now at this point, right? So like how could he even like now he just seems like what is he trying to do? He's like dissolving his company and he's like gonna
Why?
go
From what he said, he's going to use the power of
right,
the Oscorp to make reparations for what he's done. And
right. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where that goes. I don't know, but and then I guess Hobgoblin's the other villain in the mix here at the start. Looks like
yeah, I think they're going to have a little piece of him there. I think somebody's hiring him, I guess, to take out Spider-Man.
this part didn't feel like Peter Parker though. I'm like, who is this guy hanging out with these people at like a happening like bar? It seems like
Yeah,
or
with a double
something.
date there. Yeah.
I was like, I was happy for them. I'm like, oh, they actually gonna let this guy enjoy himself for a moment. but at the same time, I'm just like, well, this isn't really. He's usually stick in the mud, kind of no fun guy over here. Oh, I gotta get going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yet he's here on a double date with the other woman who's out of control. So I don't know what was going on there. This felt like a scene out of something else though, this whole moment. But I did find it interesting seeing him in this sort of dynamic though, which I don't feel like I've ever seen, even when he was with Mary Jane and they were kind of out doing stuff. Like I don't think he'd be in this type of situation, right? I don't know. And I don't think he's actually drinking. He's probably just drinking a soda or something. But he's with people that are drinking in this scene, so it's kind of different.
I know. It seems like they've aged him back again to like 23 or 24 or something.
Right. Yeah. And then what? This is this is kind of where they left this issue here. And then, sorry, this story. And then we get into the Norman Osborn one. Like I said, that's drawn by JR. And has, and then I guess they introduced a new villain in the last story in this issue as well, right? Like,
Yeah, what's that, Hell's Gate or something?
yeah, which he's new apparently, but he also kind of felt like, remember that stuff from Zeb Wells, that other world that they went to or whatever? It felt like some guy out of there, it seemed like.
Well, he
Almost
looks,
like
yeah, he looked like some medieval warrior or
where
something.
Paul was from. Remember there was that guy that
Yeah,
came out of that Paul universe or whatever, the whatever that was, where
well, he does come out of some, like some
yeah,
other dimension, it seems.
that's what it seemed like to me. Like when I saw that guy, I was like, is that the guy from that Paul storyline that came over and Spider-Man had to fight? But apparently it's not. It's like a new character I was reading online. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so you know, there's he like shows up at like an archaeological dig site or something. It seems like.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's all about, but I guess we'll see. I don't know. You know, listen, I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Well, save your optimism for something else.
What'd you give this out of 5, or do you have any other comments on this? I don't know.
No, that's it. 3.5.
I'll go 3.75. I'm giving it the bump with the art too. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it enough. Absolute Batman number 7.
Absolute Batman number 7.
Yeah, I got my issue here.
Yeah, got my issue here. So I guess we're talking the world of Mr. Freeze and what you thought you knew about Mr. Freeze. I guess in this absolute world, it took a big turn, let's say. And I didn't mind the story at all. You know, the art. Of course, you want Nick to go to there. Come on, how can this guy? You know, what's issue number 7? He's already been off for like 2 or 3 issues.
No. It's 2 issues that this artist is going to be on for. I think only 2. I think, and then he's
No,
back.
but he's been gone for already a couple issues. We're only 7 issues in.
No, he was just. I think this is the first issue he's gone, isn't it? I think this is the first one. I think this.
Didn't we have a couple back there? The one with the bat or the bridge or something.
Oh yeah, you're right. There was. You're right. You're right. The Phantom Road artist was on there. Yeah, Gabriel Walta. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so he's done. He's been off. I think 2 issues now total. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the story's decent. Yeah, I guess they're following Batman and his group of friends. They're talking about their friend Matches Malone or something, and they're kind of talking reliving some of their youth days. I guess his Matches. He ends up dying or something, and I guess Bruce was the last person to see him. But look at that, Bruce! Look at that Bruce Banner face on the other side there. I know he's supposed to be. Come on, what is that? But the story itself is decent, and I guess they're trying to get into that some Black Ops site that's called Arkham, so it's kind of pushing the story a little further. And I guess we get into the world of Mr. Freeze, and you kind of everybody knows the story of Mr. Freeze, and he's keeping his wife on ice, and this story sort of takes a different turn. It's his son out there, and both his parents are on ice, and the kid was on ice for a while, and looks like he's picked up some sort of magic, or I don't know, some ice powers.
Yeah, I think they alluded to the fact that like when he was a kid, he may have been encapsulated in ice, but it was, I guess, to fight back disease of some sort. And then, right, he was sick or something, I think.
Yeah, he
right?
was sick. Yeah, they put him on ice to try and heal him, and I guess that's his company.
Right.
Is what they put on people on ice, and hopefully, when the cure's available, then they'll try and defrost them.
But you could tell that he has like serious trauma from being in the ice because he's like, you could feel everything in the ice, like you know what I mean. So I don't know. He's demented clearly, but
yeah, well, he's got a reason to be a villain, I think.
Yeah. But then, yeah, you're right. Like Bruce goes to visit this guy, and then he sees that his family is like in the under the ice because he was under the impression he was going to be there to go see, I guess, his father.
Yeah,
who runs the company, and instead it's him who's there watching over things. So a lot of kind of like like horrific kind of tone type of stuff. Like between the guy exploding, whatever the fuck happened to Matches Malone
Yeah.
there, like his face just starting to bleed, and like even this kind of stuff, which Scott Snyder comes from like a horror background. So I kind of like that there's some subtle horror kind of elements going on here, but not so much where you're like, this is a straight up horror, but there's some pretty messed up things happening here in this issue. I think this book has taken a nice turn for the better, honestly. I really like this issue again, personally.
Yeah. I don't think it needs to turn yet. We just have one good issue so far. They should have kind of kept that train rolling still.
I don't know. I like this issue. You didn't dig this one, it sounds like, as much, right?
That's a good story, but like I say, this belongs in Silver Coin or something.
Yeah. So you don't like the horror elements that it sounds like. You rather it be
Don't mind it. It's absolute Batman.
Yeah, it's fair.
Get some Batman going.
Yeah. What'd you give this?
I give it a 3.75. Still a decent story.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'm interested to see where it goes now. And I'm happy. It sounds like this is only going to be like a 2-parter. So at least with this artist, I think it'd be good and wise of them to move on after issue 8 and kind of set up the next arc, I think, from whatever this introduction of this villain is, because they kind of left us hanging with the Bane stuff too, right? Which I'm much more interested to see where that goes. But this was interesting still. Next up, we got DC versus Vampires World War V number 8. It's chugging along still in this series.
And it's still pulling its weight, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say this issue was a banger, but it's still moving our war along and introduced some new players. So I can't complain about anything that's going on in here. It's still great action. I think the art style suits this story, or I guess we've just been force fed, but it's been kind of programmed into it, let's say, because it's been on this Otto Schmidt the whole time around, so it can't, no problems with that. I did like that little swerve where they had all the parademons were kind of battling up against some house, and nobody knew who was inside there, and the heroes come to save the house, and then it turns out that it's who's it, Batgirl or Barbara Gordon and Gorilla Grodd inside. So they're mortal enemies, and so it looks like these humans and the vampires might have to team up to try and take out Darkseid and his parademons.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, the addition of, I guess, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but the new gods at the end, adds another layer. And I wasn't expecting to see them, but I guess once Darkseid's in the mix, so the new gods are on the table as well. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm really liking that. I mean, I guess we kind of, with the other new gods that had shown up so far, Mr. Miracle and Darkseid and all them, like, I guess it's no huge surprise.
It's not a swerve that these guys come out of nowhere.
Right. But I'm excited that they're finally kind of in the mix here. And, and then you got the rest of them, like, whatever. I think it's the House of Mystery or House of
Secrets. The robots are out there too now. I did like Wonder Woman getting the beat down too. She like trapped the whole time.
Yeah. And now, like, we're getting to a point in the story now where enemies are becoming friends because there's not any other option. Some of even the vampires aren't on the vampire side, and there's people that are kind of not seeing eye to eye with one another. So some people are now joining up with other people you wouldn't have expected them to. And you also got the element of the Ra's al Ghul, Batman, and Alfred Green Lantern going on as well. So there's some interesting things happening in this story. Also, Deadman now is in the mix because he kind of, John Constantine, who is, I guess, officially dead. They said he can't come back now, but he's like with the rest of them, Phantom Stranger, Spectre, Dr. Fate, which, I love those characters, but and then I'm like, oh, where's Deadman? And then of course he looks out the window and he sees them and he's like, oh, hello, Hellblazer or whatever. Right. So I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And he kind of has a really cool look to him too, Deadman. I don't know, like the way that he looks, like even just from that angle, it's not like the the tunic kind of goes up or something a little bit more. Like I liked how he drew him in this scene. So I he looks really menacing. When sometimes I feel like depending on how you draw Dead Man, he could kind of look goofy, honestly. So I kind of liked how they kind of shown him in this panel. So yeah, shout out to Otto Schmidt for that. But yeah, really intriguing story still, and keeping my interest up. I think that for a series where we've had a couple of different installments now, this has always been interesting to me. Honestly, I think it's kept up its momentum, which isn't easy to do. Like I think between this and I wish Dark Knights of Steel would come back. I mean, I remember these both would come out on the same day. That was the best when they used to come out on time, Dark Knights of Steel, and
Oh yeah.
that was a great time. I think we started the podcast around that time, and I was like, every time these books came out, I was like, wow, these elsewhere elsewhere books,
That was a
Elseworld
bad
books
time for DC though. 'Cause these were their best books.
they were, they were. You're right, yeah. But those Elseworld books, they had some good stuff going. So, yeah. So yeah, and then Red Hood's in the mix now too. He shows up, and then the whole Green Arrow group. I guess he was with them this whole time. This, I guess, have we seen Red Hood before this or no? I don't think so, right? Or maybe
I don't think so.
no. So yeah, a lot of players now, and honestly, like I don't feel lost. Like I think the way that they're kind of giving us the story,
Yeah, they're giving it and then enough time to each team or sort of each storyline
mm,
without kind of just jumping around, too much.
yeah, yeah, so good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I could almost go 4.25 out of 5. Honestly, it was good. It was a good issue. So 4 out of 5. I agree with you. All right, got a couple here, Chris. You read this week, Vatican City #1.
Vatican City #1, Mark Miller. I forget who the artist was. I just read this one online. Basically, it's the world's going to hell, and Mark Miller does a freaking great job. I could just imagine if they freaking tasked Mark Miller to do this blood hunt. Like if it turned out anything like this, oh, it would have been just crazy. But I think it starts out in New York, and I got some vampires busting into a house, and they're taking somebody hostage. And the way they kind of force them into it, you don't really know what's going on in the world, and they take them outside, and you just see the vampires, just rampaging through the streets. And then there's a timeline saying, we took New York in, and at 6 o'clock, we took, the California, we took the whole state by 7 o'clock, and we had the country by midnight. And it kind of just goes through a nice way of describing how the vampires took over basically the world in one night. And then it cuts to like Vatican City, which is what it's called. And there's some Swiss guy who's trying to join the Pope's Guard or something, just talking to a clerk. And then the clerk's like, well, I can't do the Pope's Guard. The captain's not here today, so he can't speak to you. And one of the other clerks is like, wow, it's funny that none of the guards called in, or none of the guards came in today, so they were a bit worried about that. He kind of steps outside, and all hell's breaking loose there. But for whatever reason, the Vatican City's the vampires can't sort of make their way onto those grounds, so they're sort of at
Holy
bay.
grounds.
Yeah, because they're holy grounds or whatever. But they do have that sort of line in the sand where they're talking to all the people that are stuck in the Vatican City, and they're just trying to lure them out there to take them. They grab some guy's wife. And they're just making fun of this guy. It's basically, it's like, you're not gonna come help her. We're gonna kill her right in front of you and her friends. And he gets all upset. He jumps in there, and they just tear him apart. And then basically that's when everybody tries to retreats into the Vatican City. And then dusk shows, then it becomes nightfall there. And then you see all these teams kind of just, bringing some heavy hardware into Vatican City. And you're wondering what's going on here. How are these people getting through? And then, they talk to the priest. There's some, the wise priest that's in the basement where everybody's all hunkered down. He goes, oh, I can't believe they're coming here for this. I can't believe this is true. And basically what it is they've taken human slaves that, they might be coercing or blackmailing to do this. And supposedly what the Vatican City was built on was the original vampire that they have trapped or locked up in the basement. And so I guess that's going to be the gist of the story. They blackmailed all these humans to go in there and dig up the original vampire, the vampire leader, and that's where it sort of ends. So it's not too bad. I thought the art was great. I thought the pacing, the story's great. You know, the violence in there is great. I was like, you know, watching the world fall, and it was a fun read.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the artist as Per Berg.
Yeah.
It looks interesting though. I actually meant to read this, everyone, but I just didn't have I forgot actually about it. So
Yeah, I'm not sure the title though. I think they could have got something better than Vatican City.
yeah, for whatever
I thought it
reason,
was going to be some freaking Christian book or something.
yeah, this one slipped under my radar. Although this isn't the first time that Mark Miller has done a book based on religion kind of stuff, because I think he did a book one time called I think it's called The Chosen One, or some American Jesus or something like that. I think he
Yeah.
changed the name afterwards, but it's basically about a guy that's basically like the resurrection of Jesus, essentially. But I think he takes like an approach almost like he's got like superpowers, like he's a superhero or something like that. But if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a long time since I read it, so maybe I'm wrong about what the book's about.
Yeah.
But it was essentially that's what it was. Like he was like the second coming of Christ kind of thing, right? So and I think he did like a trilogy and miniseries on that, but I didn't really care for that because sometimes I read the first one and I didn't read the rest because sometimes like the religious stuff I don't really care about as much. But I mean, this sounds good though with the vampires, right?
Yeah,
So
it's not really a religious story. I guess it just happens to be the Vatican City's holy ground, and
takes
they got the.
place there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this comic's a winner, and I'd give it a 4. It was a great read.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out before the second issue comes out. All right, Geiger 13. Another one I wish I read this week, but I don't got the art for this guy, so my apologies. Yep.
Yeah, so I think when we left the last issue, you found out that this Ashley Arden has Doctor, I think it's Molotov or something like that.
Mm.
He's got her trapped in the basement, and you know we kind of had all these good feelings about Ashley Arden and Tariq sort of working together. Then it kind of revealed in perhaps an evil side. And this comic sort of starts out with a bit of history of Ashley, I guess Ashley Arden, whatever. I think of her as a younger person, you know, kind of not aware of her powers, and she's kind of running through I guess the chaos of the world after the bombs, and that's where she runs into Doctor Molotov, and you know he goes, "Oh, I can help you," and supposedly from that point she just captured him and locked him up in a basement. But then it moves on to the story where they're at now. You know, you have Nate and Tariq. You know, Tariq's kind of soft and go, oh, maybe you know Ashley can help me control her powers. Maybe we'll stay here for a little bit. You know, and Nate the Knight, he's pretty happy about that. And they talk about what's that Robot Joe guy? I forget what his name is.
Junkyard Joe.
Yeah, Junkyard Joe. You know, I think Tariq has I guess they had some issues in the past before, maybe in the first run, but it looks like he sort of trusts him now, and you know, he talks about how Tariq's kid was a big fan of Junkyard Joe and all this sort of stuff. So it kind of puts the team, yeah, these are the people we're going to be running with, and you know, I think they have a place to stay, and you know, true to form, like Walking Dead. Whenever they find a good place, it's never good.
Right.
But anyways, at this point, I think the U.S. Army is basically chasing these people down. I don't know if they're after. You don't know if they're after Junkyard Joe or if they're after Geiger.
Well, the creator of Junkyard Joe, I think the issue before they teased that he's looking for him, like he's hot on his trail. Like an issue or two before, I think they showed him. He had like a mask on, like the Junkyard Joes or something. I think it's either the creator or some guy that he was with or something previous to this. So yeah, I think that there seems to be a lot of people after them now, right? Like different kinds of factions of groups, right? Yeah,
that's it. And then they attack the city that they're in, and then you know they get all the townspeople, I guess, into the silos or into the bunkers for safety, and then the army attacks, and it's just the two glowing people out there fighting, and you know they come in with tanks and all that, and I guess they blow up some power source, and then that prisoner, the cage with Dr. Molotov is in, the mag lock unlocks, so he frees himself.
okay.
And then he runs into Geiger or Tariq, I guess. And he's telling Tariq, look, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And he kind of reveals the plan, or at least what Dr. Molotov thinks is Ashley, yeah, Ashley's plan is that she has
Right.
a live nuke in their building and she needs Geiger to set it off.
Right.
So who knows who's telling the truth, but some big reveals in there. And yeah, like I say, I've been loving this story. No swerves, and the story's just moving straight ahead, and I love that. Great art, great characters. I'd give this, yeah, easy 4.
Nice. It sounds like what's happening is another familiar trope in these types of stories where the guy who lost his family has gained a new family, and he doesn't want it, but it kind of is happening like
Yeah, yeah,
naturally.
like he's supposed to be the lone wanderer. And now he's got like an entourage there. He's got that zebra. He's got Nathan Knight. Now he's got Junkyard Joe.
Well, it's one of those situations where try as hard as you want, like it will, like to not be associated with
Yeah,
people. They just
and
keep
now
trying.
he's living in a town that he's there protecting a town where.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
like
not
it.
bad. This guy, and the Geiger comic is great too. Like it's the cardstock cover. It's a
Yes,
nice solid comic too.
absolutely. All right, then you got Hulk 24.
Hulk 24. I just checked in on this because the cover, it was one of those Marvel versus Capcom covers, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good one. I do like that one. Yeah.
And, just checking in. I'm not sure what the story was. I haven't been a big fan of the story that's been going on. But I guess Bruce Banner and that girl Charlie, I think she's taken over some sort of demon, like Hannah Godskin or something, and they're on their way to the Sanctum Sanctorum to try and talk to Doctor Strange to see
Okay.
what they can do. So hey, at
Yeah.
least they're not, last I saw them, they're all stuck in the woods and you know fighting in the trees and all that sort of stuff, and all these zombies are after them. So I think it was a nice surprise. And so they get to the whatever, the Sanctum Sanctorum, and of course Doctor Strange isn't there, only Clea's there because he's off in Asgard doing his thing. And then she's kind of being all mysterious. Oh, I know why you're here and all this sort of stuff. And then okay, if we want to try and find out who's in control of that, of his partner there, Charlie, because first of all, we got to protect ourselves from Hulk. And I guess he has some sort of, he called it or they have the drawing room where if Bruce Banner goes in there, the Hulk doesn't really have any effect because it's like a pocket dimension where Gamma doesn't do anything.
Okay.
So of course he goes, okay, it sounds good. And then kind of he's sitting in the room there, and then he realizes that this might something is awry, and then those wolf creatures come out and they start attacking him. Then he tries to warn his sidekick there that this is a trap, but of course to no avail. And Clea's taking Charlie downstairs, and kind of laying in things, and then I guess she intentionally kind of slips up and says, oh, this is what Clea would do if she were here or something. And she's, oh, I must be confused. I thought you were Clea. And then, she locks the door, and then she reveals herself to be one of these, I don't know, gods or something like that.
Right.
And, oh, you killed one or you thought was some insignificant like in there. And he heard that you were planning on coming to Doctor Strange for help. And one of us here, all of us here. So they all sort of went there before them, and I don't know how they beat Clea somehow. I don't know how. They don't really go into that much. They just say, "Oh, it took a lot of us, and we lost a lot," and you
Right.
don't really find out what happened to Clea. But anyway, so she's about to, I don't know, do the sacrifice, I guess, this Charlie character, and then all those wolves that were taking out Bruce Banner, they sort of come back in the mix, and and I forget what the head demon talks to those wolves and is like, oh, did you kill Bruce Banner? And they go, yep. Oh, we ate them all up. And,
Right.
and they walk out in there, and then she's like, well, what do you mean you ate them? And there's no bones left. And then they came by, and they were out of that room because they were all in there together. And of course, now that they're out of that room, even though he's bitten up in pieces, he's still the Hulk. So
Right.
he's in all these wolves. And this is where it does have that horror theme here too.
Sure.
he turns into the Hulk, like his foot comes out of some guy's stomach and his arms coming at him over there. And he kind of comes back to the Hulk and he just whoops
Body
this
horror
demon
picks.
around and
Yeah.
starts kicking her around and smashing her up. And Hulk's the strongest. Little Charlie's like cheering him on. And then at the end, there's another freaking wowzer. You think that demon's defeated, and then freaking Hulk gets zapped by lightning. And you're like, whoa, what's this about? And Thor shows up. Or, first you don't see him. You just kind of see the noise. Hulk, we've been friends before. We've been allies. But supposedly this demon that's inside of his friend Charlie is an enemy of Asgard.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's like, friend or foe, Hulk, I got to take that demon. If that demon's in her, I got to take her. And
Yeah.
Hulk's like, okay, fucking bring it.
Sounds like he came in on a good issue,
Okay,
actually.
yeah, and then just like in the last scene is freaking Thor sort of just coming down, and it's
Nice.
good. It's good to see Thor. It's bad that Thor's bad in his own comic though, but it's good seeing Thor out there being Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good surprise. It's got me interested in reading the next comic. Of course, we have had the Thor and Hulk battle, maybe not recently, but just a few years ago in the Banner Wars.
Yeah, that's
With
right.
Donny Cates.
Yep. That's the last time that I remember that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember.
So this seems like more of a true battle. Like that last one was more just a video game battle.
Yes, very much
But
so.
I don't know if I'll buy the next issue, but I'll definitely try and read and see what goes
Nice.
from
Oh,
here.
that sounds like a good one. And you got a good cover out of the deal too. So there
Yeah,
you go. What'd you give this?
yeah, get it for.
Nice. Did Nick Klein draw this one? No.
Oh, we
Okay.
did it. I don't know why they didn't get a freaking
Was the artist
addition to it.
was the artist good though, or
Yeah, the art was decent, but it's no
okay?
Nick Klein.
Okay, yeah, no. If you are, he's really good. And then next up, I got G.I. Joe Silent Missions Jinx #1. Just a quick one here. I've just been digitally reading these ones. So this one is drawn by this person, Danny, who I've heard a lot about. I guess recently, like a lot of artists seem to like this artist, but I don't feel like I've seen a lot of interiors from this artist. There's very few interiors that I've seen or out there that they've done. Yet it seems like this artist has got a really good buzz, this Danny artist. That being said, if I had to compare it to someone's style, I would say this is like Frank Miller style from like Sin City, like the way that they play with the artist plays with the shadows and stuff like that. So for that reason, as a silent issue for Jinx, which is basically this is like planting a bomb and escaping this facility and fighting her way out of this situation and it being a ninja kind of showdown. I think the art matched this story quite a bit, more so than the last one-shot Silent Mission issue, which was drawn by Phil Hester, who I like, but I think that was like a Beachhead one that I talked about or something, which I don't really know as much. Not that I know that much like about any of the Joes. Like I'm not like a big I know I've been reading these new GI Joe comics, but there's obviously the ones I know better than others. Jinx is like I don't know as much about Jinx, but like I know she's like is she part of that Ashkaraj or whatever, those ninja people or whatever they're called? I forgot what.
Yeah, I think so. There's that the last miniseries with Scarlet.
Yeah,
Really
Scarlet.
good that.
Yeah, they're together or something like that, right? So, anyways, I don't even know if she was part of the group or she was just in that comic, but I liked this issue though. For it being a silent issue, I thought it looked cool. It was like, you knew what the mission was. You can kind of see the countdown of the bomb before it detonated throughout the issue as it's counting down. So I think that this had all the elements that would make a silent mission issue like this, which is the conceit of this miniseries, work really well. And I think that I liked this one a lot better than the first one. So that's the best thing I can say about this one. But I do like the art. Like, I guess this is why this person has a buzz. But if you look at it, for me at least, this is straight up like a Frank Miller inspired style, which is not a bad thing. I think this is really good looking stuff here in this issue. So I'll give it, you know what? I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5. I think for what it was done really well. So yeah, I liked it. And I'm looking forward to Wes Craig's issue. I don't know if I'll read every single one of these, but the last couple of weeks, since this is a weekly thing, they've been light weeks, so I check them out. And it's not like I got to read anything; I just kind of just look at it, right? So, Transformers 19, Chris.
Let's see here. Hold on. I got my issue here.
Me too.
Guess this is basically we find out what Megatron's been up to.
Yeah.
I wish they had him up to something better than just being tortured the whole time.
It was kind of interesting.
It was interesting, but like Megatron coming back should have been like freaking big news. You know what I mean? And to find out that he's just been, captured by somebody and being tortured, whatever, hundreds of times. It was okay. Still a good story. I was hoping for more. I've been waiting for Megatron to come back, and I thought, they'd just come back with like a freaking big, boom or something.
For me, it was the art that I wasn't loving. This is a new artist that I don't think's ever worked on the book. This Ludo Lullaby. I'm not familiar with the artist. I mean, it looked fine, but I've been loving George Corona post Daniel Warren Johnson on this book, and I know that he can't draw all of the issues, but I just don't know if this stylistically, this artist is fit in with the artist that came previous to this. This looks more like an artist that's in line with maybe the artist that's been doing Void Rivals, for example.
Yeah.
Or maybe even some of those miniseries that we saw. So I don't know. It was okay. I was a little disappointed because we didn't have Jorge Corona on this one. But yeah, basically Megatron was going through this, like, had to redo the same scenario like multiple times in order to, and then like he doesn't even accomplish it. They just feel like they've pushed him to the point that he can't be like that. They're satisfied with his progression.
Yeah, some sort of trial or something.
Yeah, like he keeps having to fight these things, these aliens.
Yeah, they're little sharks or like piranhas or something.
And basically he keeps losing to them. And I guess like he gets, to a point where they're satisfied with like his progress and they let him go. But it's not really from like, and then I guess they keep rebuilding him because they keep breaking him. So like, this is like a torturous experience that he went through, whatever this was.
Yeah.
Right? So it's weird. Yeah. I didn't love this issue either, to be honest with you. I'm with you. But
I guess the big thing too is when he turns into a gun and whoever holds the gun, he can control them.
Yes.
And I guess that's a bit of new lore that, maybe I wasn't aware of, but that seems like a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, which I was a little confused about, to be honest. I'm glad you explained it to me here because I was going to ask you about that. I thought that's what we basically witnessed here at the end of the issue, but I didn't know if that was something that has happened before, or like what was happening there, right? I didn't really understand that whole end.
So yeah, because it seems kind of silly for your big leader to turn into a gun.
Yes.
To turn into something so small. I know they've always, they've made him to turn into other things.
Right.
But I guess this is his new or his secondary transformation. That there must be a gun that controls the people that holds him. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I do like that they keep kind of referencing the fact that there is other alien species in this world, though the Energon universe. Like I kind of like that there's all these different other aliens in the mix between this and Void Rivals. I think that's interesting. Like I kind of like that they all coexist, although I don't know how much of an impact any of these people will make because of the lore of this or if they're even pre-established. I'm not sure, but I'm not familiar with any of these things that they put in these issues, these creatures these aliens. And I think it's kind of interesting that they're all within the same world. Right. So, yeah, it was okay. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. I don't want to give it a 3.75.
Wow. Oh, you gave it higher than I was expecting.
It's good stuff.
It is. I'm gonna go 3.75 though. Yeah, it's not too much lower, but I didn't love it. There's certain things I didn't love about it. I think the art is what threw me off the most, though. Like I said, by next issue, I'll be like, oh, this is growing on me, right? But this one, I was like, I was fully expecting George Corona there to be on it.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed when he wasn't, because like, you know how I felt about him right after DWJ. I was just like,
Yeah. Why isn't he filling for an issue? I'm sure he's got
I
time now.
I
He hasn't touched it for like 10 issues.
I know. I know. It's not like he's fully drawing Moon is Following Us, which is our next book here either. He's drawing some pages, but he must be
Yeah.
working on something behind the scenes, right?
Wow.
And
Good.
and from what I understand, this might be his last arc even writing this book. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. So I guess we'll see. They got to keep throwing money at this guy, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was supposed to be done by 20 because I remember that's, when I was going to cut out.
I think it's
Once
20, I think it's 24 now, I heard. I
24
think.
now, I keep him coming.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. The Moon is Following Us. Speaking of that book, number 8. I got that here. DWJ cover there. DWJ, Riley Rossmo. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I think I've missed the last few issues, so I'm kind of just popping in this world again. But it sounds like things are coming together and the battle lines are being drawn, it seems. And I guess you kind of get a bit of history of why that girl fell asleep. Am I right there? Like, wasn't there some guy there that, that's trapping these people to try and save his own daughter, and he has to use the life force or something of
Yes.
other parents?
So this guy, this wizard guy that's been helping them, that they thought was an ally, that turned against them. It turns out his kid is stuck in this world too, and he basically was aiding the bad guys, the nightmare people, whatever.
So he's the guy from the beginning, and like in the
Right.
first few issues.
Yes. But the
Okay.
Yeah, but the other storyline that kind of crept in the last issue, which I was going to ask you, but you're saying you didn't read maybe the last couple, that I'm like, is this actually what's going on here? It seems like the father may have got molested or something by like an uncle.
Because they kind of show that little kid there, but you don't realize. At least I didn't think he was the father until the end.
No, it's the father, because they did it. They first introduced this last issue. It's the father. So
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened here. And I
Yeah,
think
he mentioned something as, I didn't think my troubles would follow you, but well, how could I figure?
So
he had some sort of line in there that says, "Oh, if it happened to me, it could happen to you."
right. So this guy's having all this like PTSD from this moment that's followed him into this moment where he basically like curls up into a fucking ball, like he's useless towards the end of this, when he really needs to step up and really like, help his child there. And the wife's like, what the fuck's going on with you? And like, obviously he's got some like trauma from this. So, but even as a theme for DWJ, who always does like this interesting family drama type of stuff, I was surprised that he went there with that. I was like, whoa, that's that. Yeah, I was like,
it's dark business.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something else. Maybe I don't know if it's from I don't know if it's from one of these creators past that he's actually channeling something, or I just thought it was a weird choice. Like, so I mean, it's messed up what happened to that guy, but it's just like I just did not expect that in this story amongst everything else going on, right? It was just like another really weird, messed up layer that he added in at the end of the last issue. So, yeah, okay, so you got that too, right? Yeah, because like it was like that's definitely what's going on. But I like how though he does approach it, because he's not straight up like it's not like it's front and center, like this is what happened to me. You know what I mean? Like you gotta kind of figure it out. Like he's obviously creeped out by the uncle, and there's some other kind of things that are suggesting it. But it's not, but it's not like they're like, hey, let's see this kid, what happened to him here in this scene. Like, so like, yeah, but it's I don't know. Like with 2 issues to go, I don't know how this is all gonna come. They don't look like they're in a good position at the end of this issue. So
I have a bad feeling that father's going to wake up in like a friggin' mental institution or something.
yeah,
This is all just in his head.
well,
It's almost like what was that Scott Snyder movie, the Punch Girl or something, or a Sucker Punch or something like that.
Oh, that's Zack Snyder. Yeah.
Or Zack Snyder, yeah.
Well, yeah, because like so far we've kind of gone into some of the stuff that's happened to the wife too. So like not only are they trying to save their daughter, but they're also having to like deal with their own issues in this tree.
Yeah, because like stuff from his past, like that, whatever, that unicorn, or that kind of shows up, and it's odd that all this, all the stuff from their psyche is showing up in here, all their dreams or guests, or I don't know what's going on, but it's this is something you definitely need to read all together too.
It's great stuff. I mean, and the art's
Yeah,
great. I think that these artists, it's so funny because I like both of these artists a lot, but I never really pictured their styles kind of meshing together the way they are. But it's great. Like I think I hope that these two guys work more, to be honest, in the future, because I think this is a good thing that they got going, these two, because I'm just a big fan of both of them. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, I can't wait to the story. Like you said, I think I this is really just amping up for, I think, a crazy finale this
yeah,
series with 2 issues to go. So just kind of like he's good at pacing too, I find, as a storyteller, because this is a 10 issue series, and like just like we saw like do a power bomb, he kind of leaves you at the end of every issue with like another layer to the story, and it kind of just builds and builds and builds,
yeah,
and it kind of pays off at the end, right? So I mean, do a power bomb, he literally fought God at the end of that story. Where I'm just like, what the hell's going on? God is coming into the ring, right? So like, they look like they're in a bad place here at the end. So I guess we'll see what happens. What'd you give this?
yeah. I'll give it a 4.
Same, 4 out of 5. Good stuff. Then we got Phantom Road 11, the return of Phantom Road. I think it's been like several months at least, probably since the last issue came out. What did you think of this? Jumping back in with this one, Chris?
I think it's a good place to jump back in, but if you didn't read any of the Phantom Road stuff, you're gonna be lost. What's going on here? Because it does. I guess maybe it wouldn't be lost, but it's like none of this takes place, I guess, in that Phantom world that most of the first series or the first run, whatever you want to call it, took place. Here they're almost sort of explaining it, I think, a little bit.
That's what
And
was good about it, to kind of
yeah,
bring you back in. I was like, finally, some answers
yeah,
as to what's
what's going on here, and they kind of bring a few topics. They're talking about those ley lines that there's some magic energy, and then there's some, I don't know, serial killers or something like that that's going on. There's that janitor he keeps on talking about, and then those gas stations. You see how they fit into the picture. So I think if you read this, it definitely make you want to go back to read the rest of this stuff. And even if you already read the rest of the earlier stuff, you probably want to go read it again to see how this all sort of fits in. And basically, it's following like a FBI agent
yeah.
that's kind of just being pulled into this. What do they call it? Project? What's it? Jackknife or something?
Yeah, I forgot the
Yeah,
name.
and they're following, and the agent that's on it now, he's a bit of a goofball or a
Jackknife.
jackass. So
Yeah,
they have a good dynamic between them.
yeah,
So like yeah, like it kind of keeps things light, but there's some serious things going on here. And you
yeah.
can't wait to get back into that crazy world. Whatever that phantom world where I don't know if they're still transporting that thing in the back of the truck and all those zombies or whatever those no people were chasing them. That's all good stuff. I like this.
Yeah, I honestly not nothing to add to what you basically just said. You described it perfectly, and honestly, I echo all your thoughts on that. One of your best reviews yet, Chris. I honestly, no, seriously, it was a really good issue, and like you said, it works wonders, kind of bringing you into the story, but also simultaneously really finally explain some answers if you weren't caught up. Like if you are all caught up, for the people that read the previous kind of 10 issues. It did a good job for being off the racks for so long, and kind of with this 11th issue, I was not lost at all kind of coming back into this.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's I really like too, like they even made a joke about like a Mulder Scully X-Files joke in this.
yeah,
It did feel like True Detective at times, when they're going in the bushes and trying to like find what happened after that whole thing on the road, that you see all those shadowy figures into the like in the ground and all that. Like I really like this book a lot, and I thought this was a great issue to bring us back into the fold. So yeah, great stuff.
and it almost makes you wonder if this new character has a bigger story to play because they do focus a lot on him, like
Mhm.
about his family and his children and all that.
Well, no, but I think his daughter is the girl that's the cop in the main story,
Oh,
because I think that's what she found out, if I'm not mistaken, was that her that
oh, so this is like this story takes place in the past then.
yes, yes.
Oh, even better.
So that's why this agent that showed up, that's working with him, that was already working on Project Jackknife for 5 years or something, that he said, that's the dude that has he has a white streak in his hair in the future. Like, it looks basically the same, but
Yeah.
he's got white hair now. Where I believe that's the case, because I believe that's who her father was, because I believe that's why she's like,
Okay. Yeah.
she works for them. And she had talked about that. Remember, she talked about her father.
Yeah. Because I remember the earlier series, there was that girl that's sort of in the present,
Yes.
trying to figure out what's going on in that world. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong on that, that is definitely the
No,
agent.
it makes perfect sense though.
Yeah, but the father thing, I might be wrong on that, but she definitely had. Remember, she said it in her past.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on here, and that guy is definitely the agent that she's working with. But I just like, in the present day, she has no idea what the hell's going on. Yet we are getting the answers in this past kind of like flashback that they've been doing. Yeah, it's good. It's great stuff, honestly. What'd you give this?
Well, after talking about it, I have to even give it more. I'm going to give 4.25.
Same. Yeah, that's the rating I was going to give this. Yeah, I think it did a really great job of bringing this back into the story. Aquaman number 4.
Yeah, I just kind of read this one. I heard a lot of good buzz about it. I still don't see what the hype is here. Isn't he just kind of, wasn't he trapped there by the blue, and then he sort of escapes? He gets a new trident. And I guess the big deal is that this trident seems to actually be a trident, because it's only got 3 prongs, and everybody's always complaining about his trident having 5 prongs before, or tines, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what the hype is. It's a decent story, but I don't think it's anything to write home about.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think it's pretty basic, and since it's an Aquaman book, I really need a really standout story for me to stay interested in it and to continue reading it. I did think it was a good start, the series, the first issue when it came out. I was like, okay, let's see what we got here. But now 4 issues in, I'm just like, yeah, this is not really all that
Yeah, I
interesting.
kind of like how all those Greek letters seem to kind of stand for either different bases or different sort of groups, but other
Yeah,
than that, it's
yeah, I just don't like also how they're going for this whole thing now with the blue. Like, we've already had the
yeah,
red Animal Man, we've had the
better
green
than color.
and Swamp Thing. Like, enough of this. Like, I don't know. I just like, and then on top of it, there's like a lot of like relationships with characters that are like pre-established older Aquaman people that they keep referencing in this, who I don't really have a good knowledge of, admittingly. So
Yeah,
I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's Eric, and there's like I'm aware of Arion or whoever the hell was in this issue. I know there's other, like, I know those characters exist. Like, I know those names I just threw out there. But I don't know, like, again, the significance maybe of some of these people that are popping up. Like, obviously I know Mara. I think John Timms, the artist, is really good that's working on this,
yeah,
though. So it's a shame. Just because I feel like I'm not going to read any more of this, but he's really good. So it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not it's not bringing me back. I think after this issue, it's not that interesting.
yeah. There's no like big cliffhanger at the end, or if there was, I forgot about it, and so it
Yeah.
couldn't have been that great.
Yeah. What'd
Or
you give
no
it?
hook, let's say.
Right. What would you give this?
Sorry, Aquaman 3.5.
Yeah, I'll go 3.5. I think like I said, I like John Timms a lot that's working on it, but that's as far as I can go on that. Next up, Doctor Strange of Asgard number 2.
I might have to take the lead on this one.
So basically after the first issue, this is a One World Under Doom miniseries that they're doing tie-in. Doctor Strange, now that he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme for Earth, he Doctor Doom is, obviously, and which is a result of Blood Hunt. He's now moved to Asgard because he's not only in need of a job and something to do, but he also is he wants to use the magic of Asgardians, which he, I guess, is not really like,
Yeah,
well,
he's
like,
not so familiar with, let's say.
yeah, exactly. He knows some stuff, but he wants to master this magic now, essentially. And I think as a storyline, I think that makes a lot of sense, because, like, if you think of the other magic that exists within the Marvel universe, Loki is like really, who's also been or tried to be the no, I think he was successfully for a period of time the Sorcerer Supreme. I think it was during Donny Cates' run on it, or he
Yeah,
tried to get it from him or something, the helm of it. So basically, it makes sense that he would go there, at the end of last issue, though, after kind of getting accustomed to like, his, Asgard and meeting the people and kind of being brought around and shown the ropes of certain things. And it looks like he's going to work under somebody, the tutelage of somebody in this issue. But Loki kills somebody at the end of last issue, some other Asgardian, and he wasn't in control of himself. Apparently, and now Doctor Strange is on the case to try to figure out whether or not it was actually Loki's doing, or if somebody actually did kind of will him through magic to actually go ahead and kill this person. It seems like it wasn't Loki so far. It does seem like something is afoot. And basically in this issue, it's like a big mystery that Doctor Strange is looking into throughout the issue and learning, about Asgard and learning magic under somebody else now, tutelage of somebody else. What do you think of this? Is it kind of ringing a bell now a little bit more for you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just more of that mystery, I guess, that's going on. I guess Doctor Strange kind of believes Loki's story. And aren't they sort of doing this without the knowledge of Thor? I guess Thor's like the All Father there, and
Yeah.
Loki's been banished, so he can't really go to Thor to find help.
Yeah.
And then just picking up didn't he pick up a new apprentice in here too or something?
Yes. So there's somebody that wants to learn magic from him because he used to be the Sorcerer Supreme. And of course, he wants to learn Asgardian magic from him. So they're going to help each other out essentially. So yeah. So, and then he meets a woman. And then somebody mentions that the person that got killed, like no one liked, like she had a problem with like everybody apparently in Asgard. So, he's on the case essentially. It's like a Sherlock Holmes and Watson in Asgard essentially with Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange kind of getting accustomed to Asgardian ways and a lot of it is some really good dialogue. I think it's well written and it's a fun idea. Honestly, I think it works as a storyline. It's not like it just feels out of place. Like we're gonna put him in Asgard all of a sudden. It actually makes a lot of sense, the story so far, which I can appreciate for a tie-in, right? So yeah,
I enjoyed reading it. Why it has to be under the One World Under Doom banner? That's a bit of a mystery. The only reason he's there is just, I guess, because Doom's on Earth, and that's pretty much the only tie-in.
Pretty much.
But otherwise, I thought it was decent. I'd give this a 3.75.
I'll go 4 out of 5. But I'm a big Doctor Strange fan, so there's that too. I like it. Storm number 7, Chris.
Oof. I read this one early too. I think this has a little guest appearance by Thor at the end as well. So Thor's been busy this month. And once again, this Storm comic, I don't know where they go, but these stories just keep on friggin' hitting the notes. And I enjoyed reading this one. I think what's going on here with Storm though? Isn't she still on her sanctuary or something? And
she's got
some follow-up from.
Yeah, she's got some powers from like a god, like a celestial god, essentially. And that's kind of we've been seeing that play out within the last couple of issues, including the crossover that occurred as part of that X-Manhunt or whatever it was. So she's had these powers all along the last like 2 or 3 issues. And basically Iron Man shows up in this issue.
Oh yeah, Iron Man then.
Yeah, which is a really great scene of him kind of hanging out in her house. He's like, stop bringing women over here and showing them my hippos. She has those like pygmy hippos or whatever that are in her like garden or whatever. So he's like, how do you know about that? Or he's like, it's a problem if you know about it and you haven't acted on it. And he kind of throws out a jab about something about Black Panther, who she used to be married to.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not what I heard from Black Panther or something. I forgot what he said, but it's there's some really funny moments here between him and Iron Man. But basically, Iron Man, with his new West Coast Avengers gear, his old costume there, he basically says to her, I need your help. You need to go to Brazil or something and like take out like deal with something there. I need you on a mission, essentially. No one can know about it or something. And so he sends her on like some secret mission. By the way, I don't the thing that's good about this book is I don't know what a Storm ongoing would feel like, but this is not what I would expect from a Storm.
Yeah, not exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a Marvel team up there or something. But I'm enjoying it though. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so she has to go and like fight some things in Brazil or something because she's a storm god, and she ends up fighting some other gods or something when she's there. It seems like some other ancient beings that she ends up running into and fighting. And like Chris said, at the end, of course, the lightning god shows up and Thor comes, and they might get into it now. These two next issue, it looks like, which this isn't again either the first time that these two characters, being lightning kind of characters, have fought before. So yeah, you're right. Thor's getting busy right now in the Marvel universe.
That's it.
So yeah,
Anytime Storm and Thor are together, it's always good times.
yeah. But yeah, I forgot the exact reason, like what he wanted her to do there, but it was like some sort of mission that he wanted her to run, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think something exploded in I don't know if there's some sort of MacGuffin or whatever they call it nowadays that got swallowed up or got lost in the Amazon. And I guess she had to go there. They had to go retrieve some body.
That's what it was.
Something. And then, because remember, she has somebody traveling with her, and it looks like she fried the snake or something.
Yeah.
And then they go, "Oh, we're supposed to get the body back." And she goes, "Oh, that wasn't me."
It was the snake. That's what it was. It's the snake that fell there that she has to go and like take.
Yeah. The snake ate something or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was, and it's become like Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you got it. That's what it was. But again, like not what I would expect from this book, right? Like it's. I think that's the best thing about this title, honestly. It's great art. So it's a good story. Always nice, like one and dones too in this Storm book. I like it a lot. It's honestly,
they all seem tied together though.
It's my favorite X title probably, which is crazy to say. It really is. Like it's probably if not, it's up there or it's tied for my favorite.
Well, it definitely blows Magic out of the water, blows Psylocke out of the water.
Yeah,
I like the Rogue story, but I think it's a better story than the Rogue Savage Land.
Yes.
And what else? It's better than NYX. It's
yeah.
I haven't been reading Phoenix, but I've heard some things about Phoenix that might be picking up.
Okay.
But who knows?
What'd you give this?
I give it 3.75.
Yes, this particular issue I give 3.75 out of 5 too. Yeah, and then finally we got the Ultimates 11, our last book here tonight.
No, and before we get this, I did read Dark Patterns by.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It was the Wonder Woman artist, that Hayden Sherman or something.
Right.
He was doing this issue. He does a good Batman.
Yeah.
He needs to do superheroes with masks, because whenever they're doing people there, like they got these freaking googly eyes or something. I think that's what's missing in that Wonder Woman or the Absolute Wonder Woman. I think in that Dark Pattern, I haven't been following. I just read this one because I heard a lot of good things about it. It's who's that guy with the Muppet or the puppet? The Scarface puppet.
Scarface.
Yeah, Scarface. He's sort of in the issue. I think.
No, Scarface is the puppet. The ventriloquist.
Yeah, whatever. The ventriloquist guy.
Yeah.
I guess early in the issue, you see Batman sort of, defeat the ventriloquist and Scarface. The ventriloquist goes to jail, and then he cons all the psychiatrists in Arkham Asylum, saying now that he doesn't have the puppet, that he's all good again, so they release him.
Yeah,
and somehow he takes over a building, and he's kind of using this puppet he's using his voice over the intercom to influence everybody in the building. It's supposed to be like a building of lost souls and stuff like that. And so they've taken some police hostage, and Batman's in there to try and save them. But everybody in this building is sort of under the influence of the Scarface. They're all calling him the boss. And then, near the end, he runs into the ventriloquist, and the ventriloquist can't be talking because he's got his tongue cut out. And so supposedly the ventriloquist sort of maybe taught somebody else what to do, but it's sort of everybody's believing in this story here. So you know how you always think it's just the ventriloquist doing all this stuff, and maybe the Scarface is an actual spirit or something. I don't know if they've ever explained it, but the art was great. Whenever Batman's out there with this Hayden Sherman, it's perfect for Batman. Kind of always in the shadows. You don't need the super detail. I know it'd be good for a Batman. Whatever. a guest artist or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
I've been hearing really good things about that series. I'm actually, since I missed the boat like on the start of it, I'm gonna probably just pick up the trade of this one.
yeah,
But like you said, Hayden Sherman's a great artist, and I'm literally looking forward to the collection of it. But you enjoyed the issue though. What'd you give
yeah,
it?
I enjoyed the issue. Yeah, I'd give it a 3.75
Nice.
easily.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear you liked it, because that means all the other stuff I've been hearing about it, rings true that in that sense. It's not just sometimes you hear sometimes a book is good and then you go and check it out. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
This is what people have been loving, right? So that's good to hear. But yeah, Ultimates 11 here. It's our last book. What'd you think?
gosh, I didn't like this one at all.
Yep.
Freaking the way he's trying to write this book as a song or to make everything rhyme. Like, I can appreciate the effort he put into it. There's a lot of freaking prose in here, and you see him struggle to make this story go, but it was just a slog to read through. And and what the action that was going on, it was just such a departure from where things were going, I guess, in this Ultimates. I guess when you plan them out, you think every issue is going to be a smash, but this one was just trash.
Agreed. I really dislike this issue a lot. Also, the writing, super small. The
Yeah,
actual lettering, I don't know what the fuck this letterist was thinking that did this. I get it. You wanted to probably highlight the great splash pages. Like every page was a nicely illustrated image.
you can't even look
But
at it because you're focused on trying to read this thing.
I know, like, that's what that's the shame of this issue, because I thought the art was great, but unfortunately, between the gimmick and
It's a lot.
the small writing, yeah, I really disliked reading this issue. I 100% agree with you. And also, you brought up a good point. Putting this in this moment in the storyline when we're coming up get to the last issue of the first year of this book, and this is where you decide to throw this issue. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, bad choice all around. I don't know. I think this guy's getting a little too full of himself, the writer of this book.
Yeah,
Because this is, I don't know. The last couple of issues, I really haven't been that impressed, and I love this title. So like, he really needs to step it up now. I feel like we've seen Tony coming back to life, there, Iron Lad, for the last 3 issues.
yeah. That's his new normal now. He's just gonna be freaking hanging there crucified, just thinking all the time.
Right. So yeah, not good.
Not
Shame.
good.
Yeah, and then you got the whole
Shame.
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 Yeah.
Shame.
I should put that GIF here on the. I can pull that up on stream. Unfortunately, all I got is some other random ones that won't work in this situation. It's like Dave Chappelle ones. Anyways, yeah, not good. I mean, look at it. It's a great looking issue. It's just, yeah, not good.
That's lost.
What'd you, yeah, I mean, here we are again with him coming out and saying what the hell has been going on, even though he's been coming back to life for the last 3 issues.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
Sorry, guys. 3.25.
Oh, I would go lower. I'm gonna go 3 on this one. Well, the art is good, but yeah, I can't. I got the 3 is the bump for me. Like, honestly, I would give this less, but I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
5, yeah. All right, that's gonna do it for the comics that we read this week that we wanted to talk about here. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week?
All right, let's see if I got this stuff loaded up here. So for Marvel, looking for Ultimate Wolverine #4, which seems to be the true Ultimate X-Men, because I
Yeah,
think they're bringing a whole bunch of new X-Men characters in there. I think we got Wolverine 8 because it's got Sabretooth, and I think this is a legacy issue as well.
and DWJ is doing a backup
Yeah,
story.
back
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I
Let's see,
got
I
his
can
cover
pass
as
on.
well.
I can pass. Oh, X Factor 9. Looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
yeah.
Have you read any of this Red Band Daredevil? After reading that Cold Day in Hell, maybe I'm missing out on something here.
I don't know.
Okay, maybe not then.
I haven't read it though. I haven't read it, so.
I haven't heard much about it either, though. So I think that's it. There's a lot of stuff coming up from Marvel, but nothing I'm looking forward to. Let's see what's going on in DC. Well, probably read Absolute Flash. We got Wonder Woman 20. We got the Summer Superman specials out already. I don't think I bought it, but I'll probably give it a read. I think that's a bunch of him and a Superboy, basically.
Okay.
Smallville. Ooh, looks like it might be a small week. So that's not much from DC. Image got me going with anything. No, nothing from Image either. Maybe Savage Dragon I'll read, depending if they get out there on time. Yeah, so it doesn't look like I got much going on next week. I like it.
A bit bigger of a week for me, I'd say, but I got Absolute Flash #2, Batman Superman World's Finest, Detective comes out next week.
Okay, I'll give that a read.
G.I. Joe.
Oh,
Huh?
the real like the series is coming up.
Yeah, I have it on
Oh,
my list at
okay, I
least.
didn't see that. My bad.
Unless it's wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's wrong, but sometimes like they shift the schedule and then I have older
Yeah,
books on my list. But no, it comes out. Oh, wait. No, you're right. I don't know what the hell is doing there. So yeah, that one's wrong. Sorry. You got Real American Hero Spirit #1, which is the silent mission, though, Chris. Yeah, check that out.
they
No,
picked some lousy Joes for this silent missions.
yeah, no, I know. Yeah, yeah, #6 doesn't come out. Sorry, I guess that changed the release date, but yeah, so not that. Godzilla versus Hulk #1. To check that out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 8 comes out next week.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Ultimate Wolverine #4, Wolverine 8, like you mentioned. Is this also right? Because I don't know if I heard you mention this. Let me just double check. This one's coming out. Yeah, Wonder Woman 20. Did you mention that?
Yeah.
Okay. I also have Zatanna 3 because it's a Ji Young Lee cover or whatever. Yeah, that's the only reason I have it, but I haven't pre-ordered anything after this issue, but I have it because I really like the cover that Ji Young Lee did. X Factor 9, and that's everything I'm physically picking up. So not too bad, but then there's probably some other books here digitally. Let me just double
Yeah, I
check.
read a bunch if it's a slower week.
Summer of Superman, like you said, Chris. Uh, that's it from DC. Looking forward to Detective though. That's been really good. Image, nothing else from Image. Marvel. Let me just see here. No, you know what? Yeah, no, maybe I still have a little bit more than you do, but yeah, not too much. Oh, looks like I might read this in. I might read this then. Looks like Superior Avengers came out. Maybe that's an One World Under Doom tie-in. I think.
Yeah.
I might check that out. We'll see what that's all about. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. Nothing else I'm really interested here. So yeah, not too bad. All right, Chris, your favorite book of the week. This is a tough week for me, to be honest. I don't know. It's not really any big standouts for me, at least.
Yeah.
A lot of good
There's some
stuff.
good ones in here.
Yeah.
But I think it's been one of those weeks when it's not one of the comics I bought. And I think after talking about it, I think it's going to be Phantom Road.
That's literally what I was gonna say too. After talking about it, I think I might also have to go with that. Yeah, I'm gonna follow your lead there. I'm gonna go with Phantom Road 11. There you go, guys. So
Nice.
and I you know what? Extra marks for the fact that it's been off for a while, and then you come back with a really good issue like this. I think, yeah, that's otherwise, I might have given it to again, just because consistency's sake, I might have given it to DC versus Vampires because I've really been enjoying that as well.
Yeah. That
But
would have been in the mix for sure. But I think
yeah,
I've given it to him like freaking almost every time it's come out.
you have usually, yeah. And Moon was following us was good too. Yeah, good week for the indies, honestly. So yeah, there you go. So Phantom Road 11, they return of Phantom Road. So hopefully they have a good story to tell maybe in the second half to end out the series, right? So well, we can only hope. All right, so that's going to do it for this week, guys. We'll see you guys next week. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next week. Later, everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Talk to you later.
Later.